Hey, good morning, and how are you guys doing today? I hope amazing. So, we're back riding on Echoes of the Cosmic Veil. Hold on one second. I'm going to make sure to get our chat up. I hope you guys are doing amazing yourselves. Looks like we do have chat up pretty easy this morning. Yesterday, there were technical difficulties on everything. It seemed like they reset something in some of the settings or something. I don't know. But today is going smoother. So, real quick, get everything up. Boom. And then we'll move forward. Okay, successfully got chat. So when we left off, we had just finished chapter 21. I'm going to just be honest, guys. I'm likely to touch up chapter 21 later on. Or as I read back through this after I get the feedback from the proofreaders and stuff. After I went to sleep, well, not after I went to sleep, but when I was laying there trying to go to sleep last night, I realized that I kind of felt that some of the writing in that chapter was kind of not as solid as I want. I think it's a little weak in some. Well, I think I had some lazy writing in there. And so I'm hoping when I'm rereading through it with the information from the proofreaders that I touch it a little better. And I already wrote down a note to retouch it because there were some lazy sections in it, and that was it. So let's move on. I sat in my room for the first time in a while looking at the bliss. I had no desire for it outside of the habit of something to kill time. Each dose I took seemed to offer nothing to me. At one point, I realized I had done enough to possibly kill most people. So let's fix this up. I sat in my room for the first time in a while, looking at the bliss. I had no desire for it, outside of the habit of something to kill time. I sat there taking dose after dose. Each dose I took seemed to offer nothing to me. Offered nothing to me. At, at one point, I realized I had done enough to possibly kill most people. Not possibly, to kill most people. We'll make that direct. Oh, this is where we kill somebody. Okay, this is where the disease takes control of him. Bliss was not what I was wanting. For some reason, the idea of ripping into flesh ran through my mind again and again. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I had fought urges before, though, many times, and this would be no different. I dimmed the lights and laid there, wanting to get. I dimmed the lights and laid there, waiting. Not wanting, waiting to get tired and fall asleep, looking through files on the internal AI. with hopes of finding something. Okay, I dimmed the lights and laid there waiting to get tired and fall asleep. Let's. Okay. We're gonna get rid of the sleep part. I dimmed the lights and laid there looking through files on the internal AI with hopes of finding something that would explain exactly what was happening to me. Okay, I like that. The one thing I could tell was the nanites were creating more and more connections to the AI, and the blood Amelia had given me was now fighting for control. I knew about the disease the elves had created and how it had created mindless killers, but it was different. But this was different. I still had my mind and did not seem to be a walking corpse, but I was craving to rip into something living. I knew Amelia had modified the disease in some way. I also knew she was able to control herself, had her mind, and did not look like a decomposing zombie. She had changed the disease and modified. Wait, she had changed the disease and that modified version Okay, I'm about to sneeze. Good morning, by the way. Hey, how you doing, Midnight Gaming? I hope you're having a great morning. Kicking butt right now. Kind of awake, but not 1,000,000%. Okay, I knew about the disease the elves created and how it. Okay, I knew about the disease the elves had created and how it turned the masses into mindless killers, but this was different. I still had my mind and did not seem to be a walking corpse. Okay, but I was craving to rip into something living. I knew Amelia had modified the disease in some way. I also knew she was able to control herself, had her mind, mental faculties. Oh, that was horribly spelt. Boom. Had her mental faculties and did not. and was not a decomposing zombie. She had changed the disease into something new, and whatever that is or was. The cord of my microphone was blocking my mouse somehow. That's freaking annoying. Okay. She had changed the disease into something new, and whatever that changed was. Okay. She had changed the disease into something new, and whatever she did was now flowing. And whatever that was is now flowing through me. I could not handle just sitting there in my quarters, so I decided to go to the galley, hoping some food would help. Maybe if I was full, my urges and thoughts would calm down. After sitting in the dim light of my quarters, the lights in the corridor turned bright and almost overwhelming. The galley was quiet, and only 2 crew members were there eating. The smell of the food, the smells of the food were intense, but did not stir my appetite. I still went through the motions of getting a plate and setting down at a table on the other side of the room from the crew members. Double check this. I worked to force down the food, but it seemed bland and unfulfilling. The crew members got up and went to leave, passing by me. That is when I caught their scent, which was almost overwhelming. I sat for a second trying to eat, but the scent was still lingering in the air. I was done eating, but could still detect the scent, even minutes after they had left. At first, I was just curious at how easy it would be for me to follow them. But then I slipped into the mindset of a predator hunting its prey. I followed them down each corridor with ease, using only the lingering scent left in the air. I told myself I just wanted to see if I could track them, but soon my thoughts of why slipped away into something more primal. When I finally caught up with them, they were visiting in front of one of their quarters. The conversation was of concern with how they could get out of the trouble that they found themselves in, and if the elves of the corporations would be the one that tracked us all down first. Then I watched as they split up and went to their quarters. I found myself moving to one of their doors, and almost like instinct connected to the ship's systems using only my technopathic abilities. We all know what's going to happen. I began by lowering all of the lighting in the corridor and the room on the other side of the door. Then I sat there listening. I could hear the man coming towards the door, likely to see if the lighting was having issues outside of his quarters. The darkness in the corridor seemed not to affect my ability to see at all. When his door opened, I was ready, and without thought I pounced, overwhelming him and pushing him back into the darkness of his quarters. The man was big and looked to be in good shape, but he seemed easy to control. I found myself letting him try to put up a fight, as if I was playing some game. When I realized he had lost hope and went to scream out, I ripped out his throat and silenced him. I had lost myself in the moment, and in a frenzy, I found myself tearing him into pieces, feasting upon his organs. I was consumed by bloodlust, though, and found myself quickly at the other man's door. I overrode and opened the door, this time forgetting to dim the lights within his quarters. Within the quarters. Then The look of horror on his face caught me off guard for a brief second, giving him enough time to get to his laser pistol laying on the dresser next to his bed. I moved quickly, lunging towards him, but he managed to get off 3 shots, 2 of them hitting me directly. I still managed to make it to him, but not before he was able to scream out for help. He fought, and before help arrived, I only managed to bite into his forearm that he was using to push me away. Okay, bump, bump, bump. As 2 more crew members arrived, they opened fire, striking me in the back, this time rendering me unable to move as one of the hits had struck my spine. I lay there as the men seemed to talk about what could have happened. Soon, they realized the trail of blood led to the other crew member's room. I could hear the sounds of horror as they found the brutal mess I had made of the man. I could feel the nanites working to repair me, aided by the disease that now coursed through my body. I knew soon I would be back up, but now more people had arrived, including my friends who were trying hard to grasp the situation. As they stood there arguing, the man I had bitten fell on the ground, going into violent convulsions. Some of the crew members were trying to check on him, but I could feel the disease. It linked me to him. Disease. Finally, my friends checked my body. They managed to determine that I was still conscious, though unable to move from the damage to my spine. Oren said, "We need to get them to the medical bay and figure out what happened." Then Brandon and Blake grabbed my legs and arms, carrying me out of the room, as the crew members were still trying to figure out what was wrong with the man. As they got me to the medical bay, they placed me on the table, strapping me down, which was probably the right choice on their part. As I regained movement in my hands, then there was a scream from the hallway. It was the man I had attacked. I knew he had regained consciousness, and now he was attacking the men who were carrying him to the medical bay. They managed to subdue him, but not before he had bitten one of the men carrying him. They brought the men to the medical bay and strapped them down, right before the other man went into convulsions. I listened as the crew and my friends talked. It seemed they knew it was the Zarkran's virus, but were unwilling to come to the terms with the reality of it, searching desperately for any other explanation. As I lay there strapped to the table, I could feel the mindlessness of the other 2 men. They were fighting to get free like animals, rabid to attack. I could feel my bond with them growing as the disease took hold, but was unable to get them to calm down for more than a few seconds. I listened to the crew and my friends discuss ideas of what could have happened for several minutes as I healed. Finally, I regained some of my composure. I yelled out, "It's the Zarkran's virus," as I struggled to deal with the situation I found myself in. Salvador and Orion seemed shocked that I spoke. "If it's the Zarkran's virus, how are you able to speak? Where would you have gotten it from?" "It was Amelia. She infected me with it when I was injured in the fight. She infected me with her blood, which had a modified version of the virus." I watched as they exchanged glances, each one trying to decide what to think about what had transpired. Salvador and Orion stood there, talking with each other, trying to decide what to do. "We need to put a couple of people to guard the room, at least until we figure out what to do," Salvador said. Orion looked at me. "Sorry, Sam. We need to leave you strapped down. You're just too dangerous until we get this figured out. Me and Brandon will stay and guard you so no one will harm you." Everyone else left, seemingly to figure out what they would do with me. Okay, everyone else left seemingly to figure out what they would do with me and the other men infected. The other infected men. I think we can just say us. Okay, it does look like we just succeeded at this for the morning. We've got chapter 22 done. We literally only have like 28 chapters, I believe is what I wrote. Maybe it's 27, 27, 28. I don't know. We'll go to the plan. Let's look. Oh, 27 chapters is what it does look like. Let's double check. 23, 24. 20, 21, 22. Yeah, we're swimming along. So we literally only have a little bit of work left. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. So we'll be knocking the rest of this out this week. So I am going to do changes after this. It'll be whatever changes the people that read it for me, proofread it and stuff like that say I need to make. Plus, I did take notes and I realized that there are a couple weakly written areas, some things that need to be fixed and stuff like that, but it's not a ton right now. And so I will have to say that there will be about 4 or so chapters that will have a little touchy work to them. Some of this will be reorganized and stuff. But outside of that, we pretty much are closing this out and we'll have this published easily within the next month. I mean, this month is almost gone. The next 3 days, we won't be done. But let's just be honest. July, this baby's getting published. I do want to thank you guys for being awesome, hanging out with me today, and, well, just being awesome. I hope you guys got some coffee in you. Hope you have a great rest of your day and a absolutely fabulous weekend. Peace and very best wishes.